We would like to start with plenary session 3 on building financial resilience, sovereign disaster risk management and financing. This plenary session 2 is co-hosted and chaired by Swiss Re, and that also gives me the opportunity to express my deep gratitude to our long-standing platinum sponsor, Swiss Re. Swiss Re is with us since the very beginning and now already for the 5th time. Thank you very much, Martin Parker, for this long-standing and outstanding and very valuable support for our organization. Thank you. And it's my particular pleasure now to hand over to the chair who is Martin Parker. Martin Parker is the chairman of the Global Partnerships of Swiss Re, and he has this position since 2012, and is also a member of the Group Management Board. And in this role, he leads Swiss Re's business activities with governments and development organizations and non-governmental organizations worldwide. Martin, the floor is yours.
Walter, thank you very much for the kind introduction, and be assured Swiss Re is delighted to be a partner and be with you since the beginning, so we're also delighted to be here today. I have the opportunity to chair a session with you today, which gives me great pleasure because we have simply great panelists to join us. They all have a lot of practical experience to share with us on building resilience and disaster risk financing, but all slightly different, which shows that there is no one-size-fits-all solution to the challenges that we face today and tomorrow. I would like to introduce the panelists to you before the keynote speech, and I will start from this side going to the far side. So my first panelist and our keynote speaker is His Excellency Minister Mangara from Senegal. Minister Mangara will share with us Senegal's approach as he is responsible for the budget and talk to us about his first-hand experience in financing disaster relief expenses. Mr. Mangara, welcome to our panel. Next, it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Halil, Head of Strategy Development for Turkey's Disaster and Emergency Presidency, often better known as AFAD, and I'm sure you've all noticed the very informative stand at the top of the stairs from AFAD, which if you haven't had a chance to spend some time there, I would urge you to do so. So from Turkey's perspective, following the devastating earthquake in Marmara Sea in 1999, Turkey has invested massively in prevention. It has strengthened its coordinated emergency response and introduced an insurance scheme, which today serves as a role model for many other countries. And we look forward to hearing about Turkey's approach to disaster financing, of course. Dr. Heinz Vollenweider is the CEO of Europe Re. This is a very recently established natural catastrophe insurance facility in southeastern Europe, which is owned by the participating governments and was set up with strong support from the World Bank, the Swiss government, UN, ISDR, and other international organizations. And we'll hear from Dr. Vollenweider about the unique approach. It is a very ambitious initiative, and we'll be made aware of its challenges too. And then finally, Dr. Richard Wilcox, the Director General of the Africa Risk Capacity, will close the loop on our keynote speaker and share with us some lessons learned and some ideas for the future. A quotation: "Financial resilience is a critical component of disaster management," end quote. And this was the key message of a seminal report published last year by the OECD. The statement says that the immediate availability of funds to finance the necessary disaster response and recovery is critical to take appropriate action in a timely fashion, not only for individuals and businesses, but of course for governments. The African Risk Capacity is a landmark initiative by the African Union to help governments manage risk in a better way by moving post-disaster aid to pre-event risk management. Earlier this year, it launched its sovereign insurance program offering African governments to cover some of their disaster relief expenses through a weather index insurance. Senegal is among the first 5 countries to have joined African Risk Capacity Insurance Program, and at various stages has been a very influential leader in the program. So, Minister Mangara, we're very keen to hear from you on the challenges of financing sovereign disaster risks and the solution offered by Africa Risk Capacity. Would you please take the stage? Thank you.
Je voudrais tout d'abord remercier
First of all,
M. Parker de
I would like to thank Mr. Parker. Thank you very much for giving me the floor today in this session. Your Excellency, Dr. Valteraman, Chairman of the Forum, Your Excellencies, the Ministers,
Mesdames, Messieurs les partenaires techniques et financiers,
ladies and gentlemen, technical and financial
Monsieur
partners,
le Directeur Général par intérim de l'ARC,
Mr. Director General, ad interim Director General of the ARC,
Mesdames, Messieurs.
distinguished delegates, honorable guests, ladies and
C'est avec un
gentlemen.
grand plaisir et une légitime fierté que je prends la parole.
It is with a great pleasure and a legitimate pride that I take the floor today in this solemn circumstance.
Sur les risques,
And I'm very happy to participate actively in the International Disaster and Risk Conference IDRC Davos.
la problématique du
Again,
financement
I would
des
like
risques en
to
Afrique.
talk about the ARC, which is a solution in this respect, building financial resilience. Martin Parker said that natural disasters need solutions, and ARC is a true solution. And therefore, it is with emotion and with a lot of happiness that I took note of the decision of the organizers to invite the government of Senegal and to invite me to take part in this important event. Indeed, it is a privilege for me to be here today, and I'm aware of the importance of speaking here today before you. That is why I would like to congratulate Dr. Valteraman and his team. Thank you very much for asking representatives of the African Risk Capacity to take part in this reflection on risk and disaster financing. As we all know, natural disasters, notably droughts, impact vulnerable populations even more than other populations and impact their livelihood. For African governments, these events require an important responsibility at the explicit and implicit levels, and they are associated with important budget funding. And that is why the Pan-African Mutual Insurance for Disaster Risk Management, ARC, was created. It is a specialized institution of the African Union created by 24 member states. These member states decided to implement innovative financial means thanks to an index-based weather insurance. ARC is therefore a platform, and it helps us better reflect on the best practices, and therefore we can better manage disaster risks. We can promote a holistic plan of emergency relief on the African continent. Ladies and gentlemen, while drafting emergency plans linked to rapid payouts on the basis of these weather index, the benefits will be given directly to the populations who face food insecurity. The company ARC Limited uses an app called Africa Risk View, which was developed by the World Food Programme. Thank you very much for supporting us. And the aim was to assess crop losses and the costs of intervention in case of drought before the beginning of the winter season. Therefore, funds can be dispersed at the moment of the crop, if, for example, there is too little rainfall. There is also an analysis of the costs and the advantages that is being carried out, and it shows that spending $1 on early intervention, thanks to the ARC, can help people reduce the impact, the final impact on the economy, and it is a $4.50 reduction indeed. There are therefore different index-based insurance policies that were defined this year by the ARC Limited. I would also like to say that $135 million were allocated in this respect. I would like to thank the partners for their financial support, $200 million. Thanks to the governments of the UK and of Germany through the DFID and the KFW. The aim, indeed, is to cover the risks of member states. Therefore, they can better react to these weather impacts. That is why the government of Senegal has been committed since 2011 in this ARC program by mobilizing all governmental structures. The aim is really to give an integrated response to this multifaceted problem. Indeed, the drought in 2011 had many consequences. For example, a 36% decrease in crop production, and cereal production indeed, and a 59% decrease in groundnut production, and this had an impact on more than 800,000 people, mostly in rural areas. Ladies and gentlemen, the response given by the states to vulnerable populations helped assist more than 1 million people affected by a global cost of 34 billion FCFA. That means $70 million. Of course, these sums were paid thanks to new budgetary allocations and thanks to the support of our technical and financial partners. Indeed, it was an emergency situation. There are major needs, financial needs, and therefore the Senegalese government has committed itself to a maximum coverage. That means $30 million in exchange for a premium of $3.6 million US. That means 1.8 billion FCFA. Thanks to a mutualization of the risk by the ARC at the continental level, it is planned to make savings amounting to about 30% if you compare the situation with similar products, classical products, on the international insurance markets. Senegal is one of the first countries to benefit from this coverage, risk coverage given by ARC by signing an insurance contract on the 1st of May 2014. I would like to thank my fellow citizen, Dr. Jacques Diouf, who is at the hand of the assessment mechanism and who is within the board of our institution. Thank you very much to him for his active role in negotiating the statutes of our company. For the current winter season, the software Africa Risk View has pointed out that there will be a major drought in our country. Therefore, we believe that ARC might disperse funds and give funds to the government of Senegal before the end of 2014. That means right after the end of the agricultural season. But thanks to the coming payment of ARC, we can already prepare the logistic details and the modalities of the emergency plans. We also have the government helping us in helping the most vulnerable populations. Of course, the funds given by ARC can't cover all our needs. That is why a next step of ARC will be to develop complementary forms of financing climate change beyond insurance. And it means that in March 2014, for example, the ministers of the economy, finance, planning and economic development of the member states of the African Union have approved a proposal for a financing mechanism for extreme climate change. This mechanism, called the XCF, Extreme Climate Facility, will help us use different tools of risk transfers, and therefore this will help us generate this complementary funding for countries who already have financial tools of management in order to face the damages linked to climate change. I'm looking forward to hearing the presentation of Dr. Richard Wilcox, the Director General of ARC, later on. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks to this participation in the ARC program, we have managed to have a better prevention, a better answer to risks, and therefore we can better integrate funding and operational implementation. We are convinced today, more than ever, that now we can better manage risks rather than just manage crises, and that we can be more effective. Indeed, early warning systems are in respect very important. These two conditions require constant innovations. It means also thoroughly understanding the risks and the vulnerability of the populations in our countries. It means taking into account the technical constraints and the political and social context in which we operate. We also need a long-term commitment of the governments we work with in order to study these different questions and to elaborate risk management strategy, an efficient one that can protect fundamental investments and the different goods of the households, and that can favor financial stability at the national level. Ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to say that Senegal in 2011 made a major budget effort, and it means that the government of Senegal believes in the solution in ARC. ARC, I believe, will convince the other countries. Thank you very much for your attention.
Mr. Mangara, thank you very much. The story is, of course, a wonderful story in this year because it's up and it's operating. It's taken a tremendous amount of collaboration and been a rich journey. So we'll hear more from Dr. Richard Wilcox later, but also we'll, of course, have a chance to have a question and answer session for you, the audience. I think it's very important to make sure we do that and give you plenty of time, and we will. So again, thank you very much, Minister Mangara.